Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as always by JD by God Oliva. How you doing, JD?
So tired.
You're so tired, yet it's such a big news day, man. I was
Dude, I was gonna say, can we push this? And then the WWE had to release half the roster day, and we got other announcements to make, and I'm like, God damn, oh, fine.
Yeah,
Sucking it up.
man. Yeah, so let's get into the WWE stuff, man, because I think that as per usual, this stuff affects Impact, as you saw, all throughout the card tonight, and through a lot of the cards that Impact has had throughout the year. Actually, going back to whenever WWE really started their roster cuts back in 2020, somebody in from those cuts ends up showing up on Impact at some point, right?
Well, we act like it's Christmas when WWE has a bunch of roster cuts, We
Yeah.
do we do all kinds of commercials going, who's gonna show up? Turns
Yeah.
out not many people. So although
Yeah.
this time it might be different. I don't know.
I really don't see it being different. And I'm going to go ahead and run down the names, and we'll briefly touch on them. Some of them I honestly don't even know who they are. So
Yeah, there's a lot.
you might have to carry me, but it's there's 18 talent that's been released, and so from the WWE main roster, we got Keith Lee. So if I were Impact on Keith Lee, I would back up the Brinks truck for that guy and bring him in as a top baby face like ASAP.
How do they screw him up?
Dude,
How?
I went to a live NXT show here in Visalia, California. He was one of the top guys there. He wrestled Finn Balor. The guy was a fucking star, bro.
He's
And
amazing. He's
amazing.
fantastic.
Just full of charisma,
Yeah.
personality, great in the ring. He hits hard. All his stuff looks great. He is very athletic for a big man. He got to that main roster, and it's like his spirit had been broken, because what they
Well,
do to you is you get there. You're over when you get there, and what they do is they tell you to do things that will make you less over, right?
and they tell you suck,
Yeah.
right? They act like you don't know how to work. Like, oh, this will never work here. And they like break you down. And like even some of these guys we see in AEW and Impact, like when they leave, it takes them a little while to get back to who they were.
Yeah.
It's a weird place, man. It's a weird
Yeah.
place.
I mean, Keith Lee's the biggest name of all of them, in my opinion, anyway. And
Yeah.
the bigger names we typically have earmarked for AEW. He certainly fits what they do there, and it makes a lot of sense. So if I were a betting man, I would bet against Impact being able to land that guy. But they should at least try to go for it. But I wouldn't think that he would come to Impact.
I don't know. I mean, like if I'm Tony Khan, this is a guy that could be a world champion in a year. So I mean, I think it's a guy you'd have to. They can't sign everybody though.
No, they
Like,
can't.
I don't know.
As much as I like Keith Lee, he's not really a difference maker. So at that point,
No one is,
yeah, no. So, Punk and Danielson were immediate difference makers. The ratings have taken a little bit of a dip. There's a lot of reasons why that is. The NHL kind of has affected things for AEW, but they have broken merch record sales, pay-per-view record sales, so ratings might be a little bit stagnant right now. But Keith Lee doesn't affect any of that stuff. And so if you're going to bring that guy in, you're almost throwing good money after bad, hoping that maybe one day he breaks out into that top pack there.
You know what? I think Keith Lee is a guy that if you signed him tomorrow would be a big merch mover for that company, because like the AEW fans love Keith Lee. Like they
Yeah.
like work rate guys. That's the guy that if he starts selling Basket My Glory shirts with the AEW thing on it, they're going to make a lot of money. That said, if Impact could land him and Moose is a natural rivalry. Like they would have really good matches. Like Moose is really fashioned himself into a really good unlikable heel, and Keith Lee is so damn likable when he's not doing whatever, trying to be Bearcat right. Like he's really good. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
So that is a guy that I would sign 100%. Both companies, New Japan too. New Japan should try to look to bring him in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Next person we got Mia Yim, who I believe is Keith Lee's fiance, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Fiance. She was, I think her name was Jade in TNA. She was in TNA back in the day before she signed with WWE.
She was in the Dollhouse.
Yeah. I think she would be a natural fit for either AEW or Impact. I think AEW really could use some more women on their roster. Although Deonna Purrazzo, even though she's not champ anymore, kind of ran through the knockouts roster, so I think that she would fit there too.
Sorry, I had to sneeze. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I think she is a no-brainer for either roster because she's really good. And like having Deonna as this big dominant champion was a great idea, but like we said, she kind of ran out of challengers. So it makes sense to keep the belt on Mickey for a little bit, maybe cool on Deonna, and then when you're ready, bring her back. But it'd be nice to have some more challengers. And
Yeah.
I don't know if Mia Yim wants to come back to Impact, but I think she'd be welcome, and I think she'd be really good. There's some other women on this roster cut that
Yeah.
I think would be better fits because they're different. So yeah, keep
Yeah.
going.
Well, the one that I think that it makes all the sense in the world that is the natural for her to come back to Impact is Taya.
Yeah.
I think Impact really did want to keep her. They really tried hard. In fact, her contract was up for months before she left. She stuck around to do some extra programs with Impact. I think they would take her back in a heartbeat, and I think that she would also like to go back if they can figure out a money deal.
Yeah, I just watched that skit. Garrett Kitty retweeted that final skit, and I forgot how funny that was. Yeah,
Thanks to me, by the way. I hate to brag, but I did tell him to post that. So
humble brag,
Yeah.
embrace it. No, that's great. So she makes sense. Bring her back. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Let's see who else we got. Nia Jax. That's a big fuck no to me. Sorry, go ahead.
She's done.
Yeah.
She's not a professional. I fell ass backwards into a Stanford source. I'm not gonna tell anybody who it is, but I fell backwards into a Stanford source.
Okay.
They don't like her.
Oh well. Yeah.
He said this was the no vaccine thing was the last straw. And again, no matter what your political ideologies fall, in order to travel internationally, you're going to need a vaccine. And if you're going to draw a line on that, you're probably not going to work in there because you're more hassle than you're worth. And they've proven if you sneeze, like especially if you sneeze, you're done in that company. So yeah, she's done. I think she's done in professional wrestling. I don't think you see Nia Jax again unless she resurfaces with WWE.
Well, she's used to that WWE money. She's the Rock's cousin, right?
And she sucks.
Yeah, she's not very good. You know, she's a pain in the ass that nobody likes her. I think she's perfect for WoW. I think Jeannie Buss would pay money for her because Tessa's not coming in cheap. I think Jeannie Buss has the money to bring in Nia Jax, do a big Nia Jax Tessa Blanchard feud. Battle of the people that nobody fucking likes.
Manifest this into reality. I hope I am wrong.
Yes.
And that WoW picks up Nia Jax because you want to talk about an uncooperative match. Tessa Blanchard and Nia Jax. Holy shit, would that be awful? I would absolutely love it.
You know what's funny is for everything that people say about Tessa Blanchard, she is very good in the ring.
She's great.
She's very good. If anybody in the world could get a good match out of Nia Jax, it's Tessa Blanchard. I just happen to think they'll end up hating each other before the bell rings and something bad will happen. So I want to see it.
And Tessa's going to eat a knuckle sandwich in the middle of the match because Nia thinks she's Ole Anderson or something like that in there. And so it would get ugly very quickly. I'm for this. I would actually watch WoW if this happens.
Should we start a hashtag Blanchard versus Jax? Should we get that going? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
For the chaos of wrestling. I am all for the chaos.
Yeah. Oh, consider it done, sir. Consider it done. So next on the list,
this idea.
Next on the list, Karrion Kross, formerly known as Killer Kross in Impact. He burned a bridge in Impact. I'm gonna go ahead and scratch him off the list, and he is not AEW's type. I'll scratch him off the list there
because he's not very good.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I don't think Impact takes him back, man. He left with a lot of bad blood there. So
him and Scarlett, they both burned a lot of bridges on the way out to get their Stanford dreams, and then. The things happened in reality. It's hard to be a monster on the WWE roster when you're only like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah. And he talks about himself like he's a bad motherfucker, but there's people in that company that could just rip him to shreds, right? There are actual legit college wrestlers and Olympic wrestlers and just guys who are real athletes that could beat him up.
Matt Riddle and Chad Gable, I always forgot what's calling his real name every time, would beat the holy hell out of Karrion Kross in an actual fight. Yeah. So let's be real. Yeah. And he's not that good. Like, I mean, maybe he can go back to AAA, maybe New Japan. I mean, they have Evil. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
and they have Yujiro on that roster. Maybe they see something in him. Like, I hope that Tony doesn't go, I could do something with that guy. And the Impact, that's not even going to happen.
No.
They're going to be like, bye, you wanted out. We gave you what you wanted. See ya.
Yeah. No, he smells like MLW to me. MLW actually did bring him in right before he went to WWE.
They did.
And he can work dates with MLW, and he's actually started to make a little bit of a name for himself on the indie scene while he was in a hiatus with Impact. Prior to going to WWE. So he could work MLW, he can do NWA. I think the Billy Corgans would take a liking to him. He seems like their style.
If Ring of Honor does reset itself as a super indie, that's the guy you give a shot to. Hey, here's a couple grand, come do a show, come do a weekend for us and do a month of shows. And if it works, you keep him around. I wouldn't put him on a contract. I mean, that's not really Ring of Honor's style, but we don't know what Ring of Honor is going to be in 2022. It might not be the Ring of Honor we remember. So maybe.
Eva Marie.
Why did she come back? Dude, that's like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at people for getting fired, but like, she never made any effort to improve. She was bad to begin with. Like, that never made sense to me of why they would bother to bring her back. It's mind boggling.
You want to know why they brought her back?
She's hot.
So when I was in Afghanistan this last time, and when the wrestlers all came, right? It was Vince McMahon, it was Alicia Fox, R-Truth, Big Show, and Eva Marie. And I'm not saying something was going on. I have no evidence of this. I just know what I saw with my own two eyes. It was a little cold outside, and Eva Marie and Vince were hugged up the entire time. That's not that controversial because I saw it with my own eyes. I'm not just lying. I'm not making it up. That literally happened.
You're also talking about Vince McMahon.
Yes.
So there's not a doubt in my mind that actually happened.
Yeah. So I think that is a good reason as to why that she was brought back. And as you alluded to earlier, with all the Instagram stuff and OnlyFans or whatever she's into, that's what brought her back into the fold. So there you go.
She's really not much without the WWE though. Like she's gone. She's out of wrestling again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And she left wrestling before. She didn't do indies. She didn't do none of that stuff. So here's two names that I think are pretty interesting. I don't see him coming to Impact, but Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik. Grand Metalik especially, he was a really big star in CMLL before he came to WWE.
Mascard and Trip and New Japan. There's an awesome match with him and Kenny Omega from 2015 for the junior heavyweight title that I highly recommend people go out of their way to see. Super good. From before Kenny's ascension, the AJ Styles era of the Bullet Club. I think Dorado is a guy you could Mascard Dorado. The former Metalik is a guy you will see in New Japan and possibly AEW because he's that good. Lindsay Dorado is pretty good, but I think he's a guy you can see in Impact.
Yeah, he kind of fits the mold of a Laredo Kid type of guy.
Samurai Del Sol could be an Impact because it doesn't seem like he made a very good impression in AEW one night in.
God forbid he doesn't know how to spell someone's first name.
Dude, has
to be a deep read. I think they think that he might have been disingenuous. And that's the only thing they could pick out of that tweet that was somewhat disingenuous was his lack of being able to spell the guy's name.
Yeah.
But the tweet itself was very thoughtful and heartfelt.
I thought so.
But
like he made a spelling error. Like, good Lord, if people held me to the grammatical structure of your tweets, I'd be murdered on the streets. Like,
dude, last week I was trying to say a very nice compliment to Jeff Hawkins from the Dynamite show here on the Fight Game Media Network, and it was illegible. You could not read what I wrote. It was like there are periods and random spots at symbols that didn't belong anywhere. Like I get it. I can't tweet to save my life. So
I know. And it was so weird. Like Jericho, I get he's just Jericho. Man, and when Amanda Huber got on that, I was like, whoa, something. I'm gonna leave that one alone. But that's a guy Impact should look to bring in because it's probably not gonna happen.
Yeah. So, Harry Smith, Davey Boy Smith Jr. I will say that Impact tried to bring him in on 3 different occasions, and they all got turned down by the company that he happened to be contracted to at the time, New Japan and then MLW. So there seems to be interest. He's a Canadian guy. You would think they'd want to try to bring him back at some point, or bring him in for the first time at some point.
Jim Ross is real high on him too, so I don't think controversial statement. I think he's kind of overrated personally.
Yeah.
I don't like his grapple style. I think it's weird for his body type. Like, I don't think he has much personality. Like,
That I think that's the kicker. I think that he
yeah,
doesn't have much personality. I did like his work in New Japan, and I like his work in Bloodsport.
I like his
Except,
blood sport stuff more than
yeah.
I like his other things. Yeah, he had a good match with Josh last year. You
Oh,
know,
actually, I'm going to correct you on that one because whenever I thought we were going to interview Josh before that fell through, one
Mhm.
of the things I wanted to ask him about was how that match went so wrong because they only wrestled for like a minute.
Oh
So
yeah, that's right.
he
I
was
thought it was.
scheduled. No, he was. So me and Garrett actually did a podcast afterwards. He was in there and he got eaten alive in about a minute on that one. So it was somebody
Oh,
else that he wrestled that was really good. He wrestled Cross. Him and Cross on Bloodsport was
oh,
fantastic. But
okay. I
no,
must be.
yeah, Bulldog and Alexander went about a minute. It was not good.
Okay, I forgot. Okay, I
Yeah.
remember the finish was a Tiger Driver, and I thought a Tiger Driver in a Bloodsport match. That's weird. But I thought before it was pretty good. Okay, I'm wrong. I'll stand
Yeah.
corrected on that one.
Um, not to be a one upper, but
No, one up me.
no,
Good. If I'm wrong,
no,
I'm wrong.
no, no.
I'll
I've been it's something that's been
I'll
bugging me
take
for a
the
long
L.
time. It's like how do they bury Josh on that show? Like what went wrong there? But
Yeah.
some guy named BFAB. I'm not familiar with BFAB.
Woman, she's part of Hit Row. She's
Okay,
the female member of Hit Row.
okay,
Um, that's a weird one because she was terrible. The one because she never wrestled, right? And then on the NXT, the glowy NXT, they gave her a street fight to participate in. I forget who she was fighting, and it was the worst street fight match one will ever come across. It
huh.
was god awful, terrible, but she's a pretty good promo, and she really helped set that act off.
Yeah.
So the fact that they released, I mean, like Top Dollar should have not opened his mouth before, getting acclimated to the main roster.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that helped his little group stand out. It's now his group, by the way, not
Mhm.
not Swerve's anymore. So I don't think Hit Row is long for this world, to be quite honest with you. She's horrible. She's horrible in the ring. Horrible.
Okay.
You could
Okay.
do she could do other things, but wrestling is probably not what she's gonna do.
So now we'll go to the NXT roster. Scarlett, we already talked about, not coming to Impact. Yep, she left on bad terms there. Ember Moon is interesting to me. I think off the top of my head, she's AEW bound, but you never know with this situation because there's been a lot of women that AEW passed on that was head scratchers for me.
I agree. She is someone who we like a Keith Lee in that she was really good on the indies. She was good for the indies, right? Especially at that time. But she's kind of stagnated in WWE. I don't think what she wants to be and what her style is works particularly well with what they want.
Right.
Right. And I think it's just oil and water kind of thing. I think she like when she came in, I thought she's pretty good. And then like she hit that big rough spot. And I think it's a little bit of like she's in her own head kind of thing. Cause I think she's one of those, I hear this, I hear that, I hear this, I hear that. And she almost doesn't know what to do anymore. I think if you get her in an environment like an Impact or an AEW, she would really, really excel. I hope she is the one female performer in this whole thing where I'm like, yes, let's do something with this one.
Right. I think that it's another situation like Keith Lee where she was great on NXT and then they brought her up to the main roster and they fucked her up. I'm not just saying booking. I'm just talking about with the way that they handled her. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just kind of messed with her. We already talked about Taya. I think she's a shoo-in to come back to Impact. She got it's mean, but she got released probably because of her age. She's been around a long time. But she was, better than any woman wrestler, other than I say Io Shirai on NXT, and they just never let her wrestle. And I think it's because of her age, and I think that's bullshit. So
and let's not go there. I agree with you. I agree with you. I think she saw it coming.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Her Twitter activity made it seem
that's what I was gonna say, because we both interjected on a tweet and we're told please don't interject. And it's the first time either of us have been asked not to interject on something, and we both relented. We will leave it at that and say JD and Mike probably fanned flames that were unintentional this time.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Jessica Maya, she never really got started. I don't know.
I don't think I ever saw her work, to be honest with you.
I don't know who Katrina Cortez is either.
She is she was the masked female performer on the roster. She was the woman luchador. I
Okay.
never saw her work, but I saw pictures of her. I guess she's pretty good, but I can't say it. I
Yeah.
heard she was all right, but I never watched her work.
Jeet Rama. Never
No
heard
idea.
of this person. Okay, now Oni Lorcan's very interesting.
Oni
I think
Lorcan is the guy
Biff
they should be on the phone with tomorrow.
Biff Busick, right? That's his
Mm-hmm.
name.
Yep.
He's good. He's very good, I would say.
He's an evolved guy. Yeah, he's very, very talented. He's did the PWG stuff. He's a very, very good worker who never fit there at all.
No, and then he was like his contract was up, and he ended up re-signing recently. I think AEW had interest in him. I don't know, about Impact, but yeah, he's a guy that he's probably not going to cost a lot of money that Impact should be on the phone with. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought Impact should have gotten Tony Nese, but I don't. Tony Khan sees something in Tony Nese, so whatever. I think Biff Busick is a guy. He's got great personality.
Mhm.
I think he would fit in really, really well on this roster, like immediately.
Yeah.
So I like that call. I think he's a good one.
Yeah, I have a tougher question here that I'm going to bring up here in a minute. Shoot. Okay, so before we get to that point, so Trey Baxter, aka Christian Blake
Christian,
sorry, he was in Impact right before he went to WWE. I think it makes all the sense in the world for him to, you don't have to bring him in on a contract, but kind of like Alex Zane, just bring him in. But I think he's a guy that if they did get under contract, him and Trey Miguel could lead this division for years to come.
I agree. You know how I knew it was over for him in NXT? When his gimmick became Pretty Girl's dorky boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
When I saw that, I'm like, oh, he's done. There's no, when they cut his best friend and made that his character, I went, this man is done.
Yeah. He's done. Zeta Ramier.
Got nothing.
Okay, got nothing on that one. Okay, so here's my question. So we got, I guess this is like a two-parter, and I'm interested, and I have thoughts on this too. Because now we have the Ring of Honor, the entire roster is available to bring in, right? And so, and you have Moose already, and I wanted to get into this later, but we'll just get into it now. Moose is already advocating for Jay Lethal and the Briscoes because those are his friends.
Well, yeah.
And that makes all the fucking sense in the world to me. Bring those guys in. Who do you get rid of? Because they don't have room for everybody either. Because during the Bound for Glory weekend, they actually had to unbook people because they overbooked their cards. So
no, it was a visa issue.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about that one, but there were other situations they didn't name any names, but they said they had overbooked their cards essentially.
I don't know how that happens. Okay, I get this. Like when I say we, I'm talking about Impact. We are owned by a major company, right? But it's not like there's an infinite pool of resources there. Right. Yeah. This is still a shoestring company working on a very small budget. Just watch the show. Right. It tells you it. Like, so you're right. Can't bring in everybody unless you're going to start paying people per shot instead of on a contract, which I don't hate that idea. Like, realistically speaking, like, I don't think companies should go out of business if they can't. If companies can't afford to pay people long term, they shouldn't. Right. Mm-hmm. It's a bad idea. Just for the sustainability of the company, but it's better to make some money than no money, is my personal opinion. So I think an Impact is better off if maybe we bring guys per shot as opposed to 6-figure deal. That said, I don't know what wasn't that Don, we talked about Don Callis taking things over. They wanted the All Japan model, like you have your big 6, big 8 guys, and then you just kind of rotate people in around them. That is the mark. That's actually how Raw is being run for some reason. It's $1 billion company, but we talk about Tony Khan not being able to bring everybody in. Now there can Impact.
Yeah,
like it's not just like, oh, they need to spend money. What money? Like you have a budget. You can't just spend. Like It's not like Ed Nornholm just loves wrestling and wants to compete with Vince and wants to just spend. Like that's just not what this is.
Yeah. So I'm taking a look. Well, I think that Lethal and the Briscoes to me would be almost must-haves, I would say. Some people don't think that about Lethal, but I guess I have a pretty high opinion of him because
I like Jay Lethal. He got in trouble though with the speaking out thing, so I can kind of understand where that comes from.
Well, so but the last time I was really into Ring of Honor was when he was the world champion and Truth
Yeah.
Martini was his manager. And I thought he was fantastic. And at that time, I thought he was one of the best world champions in wrestling.
He was really good.
And then he lost the title and nothing, like he just kind of was in the middle after that. And now he's part of the foundation with Jonathan Gresham. Right. And so, so I think that they're must-haves. I think Jonathan Gresham would be a guy that could, immediate upgrade. And then from the recent releases, I'm going to go ahead and just like, I'm not going to get any hopes for Keith Lee. Hopes gone for Keith Lee. Okay. Taya, I'm going to go ahead and say a likely probability that she's going to come back. And then Blake Christian, say a similar situation. I think they value him, that they'll want to bring him back. Everybody else, I just kind of see like, hey, if we have a spot for you on the card this weekend, we'd love to bring you in, or for this 3-day period. And we'll do kind of like what we have done with what we just did recently with Alex Zane and what we're doing with Minoru Suzuki, for instance. Bring him in 3-day period. You get a month out of shows out of him, and then he ends up he loses on his way out. I think that's cool. So I think that, look, you sign the Briscoes, you sign Lethal Grisham, Blake Christian and Taya, and then everybody else you just kind of bring in as you can.
I agree. And I would add the former Ember Moon Athena to that too, because I think she is someone that I believe in her. I think that she could have great matches with Deonna Purrazzo. Yeah. I think she could have great matches with Mickie James. I think she could be a player. That is one that if I'm Scott D'Amore, I'm going to try to add to that. Yeah. Legendary knockout division.
I agree. I'm just trying to take a look at it realistically and say, hey, what's the likely scenario? What are the likely people to bring over? Keith Lee to me and Ember Moon just have AEW written all over them. I can see Ember Man just, they're in the All Elite zone in Orlando, just rocking AEW Dark every week, man. I just see her there.
Right. Yeah, I could see it too, but if I'm Scott D'Amore, I'm still looking at Ember Moon and trying to make a play, because I think
that if you're Scott D'Amore, you try to make a play for Keith Lee too. You at least go for it, right?
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. Weird things happen.
Yeah, weird things happen. So yeah, 18 wrestlers released. I hope everybody is doing well. That sucks, man. Bad news all around, but it could be good news for not only Impact, but a lot of these indies that are slowly turning into super indies, kind of like Warrior Wrestling, and GCW super indie, Ring of Honor becoming a super indie. Those type of companies are going to really benefit from these talents getting released. So
yeah, but here's the thing too, is the super indies, there's only so many spots available on those. There really are.
Yeah.
Everyone's the indies are about to be great, and it's but it's going to be the same 10 guys. Mm-hmm. And there's already a bunch of people in the indies that are getting work. You got AJ Gray, you've got Effie, you've got these guys that are doing the work right now and making a name. So it's I don't think it's going to be that easy.
I think AJ Grays and Effies and those guys are going to be hurting a little bit from these people coming in if they wanted to flood the indies. You know what I mean?
I do not, because those guys know how to work the system. They are well liked and well respected and have proven to be draws on the indies. Okay. That's the thing, is a lot of these indie shows, we're past the day where you can stick ex WWE guy on the card and think that they're going to draw. I think that was the harsh lesson that Matt Cardona learned initially, is he thought it was just gonna I'm a former WWE guy, I'll just have this will work out for me, and it really hasn't. A lot of these guys, they have to Keith Lee is a different story. Keith Lee is a dude, he
was a big name on the indie scene before he went to WWE.
Yeah. Lindsay Dorado is going to the bottom of the indie order now. He's good, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I'm sorry, AJ Gray and Matthew Justice have bigger names than him right now.
Okay.
Mascar Dorada, he can go back to CMLL or something like that and they need help. And he could be the man, but a lot of these other guys, I'm not so sure,
Yeah.